Monica.
She likes
17 would have been
like
bad.
bleak.
dark things. Yeah. So it works.
Extra
She just
dark.
likes
Match.
Dylan.
What's that?
She just likes Dylan.
That's why she likes you. She likes bleak, dark things.
Exactly. That's
Just
me.
kidding. You're very sunny.
If anybody didn't know, Dylan is very, very tan. It's almost Puerto Rican looking.
Am I?
No.
No,
I'm white as shit.
Yeah, no.
you're more red than
wait.
tan.
I know. I'm on a roof all day now too.
Oh.
Getting super red.
You should wear sunscreen.
I put it on 3 times today.
Still getting leathery.
Yeah. Well, I tried. Okay.
Wear a hat.
I got a hat on.
Wear a scarf.
I don't have that.
You should.
That's what are we doing here?
Are you ready?
All you fucking do is say a bunch of shit that you think sounds nice because you're scared all the time.
That was actually my favorite line of the movie.
That was a good line.
It was a really good line.
I was.
Well, you want honorable mention?
No.
Weed? Weed? Cool.
Yeah, you ruined the first line.
That's what I'm here for.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Sick Podcast. I'm Kris.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Casey Jade.
I'm Jim.
And this week it is my choice, motherfuckers. Buckle in.
I have fucked moms.
Buckle in. Buckle in. 2017 Super Dark Times is the movie that we're discussing today, guys.
Is it?
I'm excited.
Wait.
I'm pumped about this one.
Super dark times.
Oh, yeah. You
Not
watched
just dark
it?
times.
Super dark.
Super dark times.
Super dark
Not
times.
very dark, but super dark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Most-
it wasn't super very dark. It was just super
Just super dark.
Super
yeah.
dark.
Not extremely super. No, so the synopsis, when 2 best friends, super good times, turn to super dark times.
Sure.
Yeah. That's what I
Wow.
decided. That's gonna be my thing. When it's my choice, I give a small
That's your...
synopsis.
I figured out nobody can remember the name of this movie because everybody I told I was watching this, they were like, very bad experiment. Like, what?
I think I did that to Dylan. I was like, was it called, like...
Really wrong things?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know. I called it, was it called The Worst of Times or something?
The worst. Exactly. See? It's all like
It was
synonymous.
getting mixed up with hard times and very bad things.
Super dark times.
Super dark. It was night the whole movie. I'm just kidding.
No, it was mostly day.
It was mostly
Mostly
day.
day.
It was dark. Dark setting.
Can I give an actual synopsis?
I thought it was Dylan's
Sure.
too.
No, go ahead.
What do you got?
Was that your only synopsis?
That's my synopsis.
That gives no information.
Very
Yeah,
succinct. Very
exactly.
succinct.
But everybody knows this super popular movie, right?
Straight to the point.
It's a super popular dark movie of the times.
Wow. There you go. You used every word.
That made $30,000 at the box office.
30,000?
I got
33.
I got a real synopsis. Teenagers Zach and Josh have been best friends their whole lives, but then a gruesome accident leads to a cover-up. The secret drives a wedge between them and propels them down a rabbit hole of escalating paranoia and violence.
Quote unquote accident.
Accident. Well, we'll get into that. We can. I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on the events in this film. So
First, why did you pick this movie?
I picked this because I thought it was awesome. I watched this for the first time 6 years ago. It was only my second watch, but I really enjoyed it. I read an article. I was actually at rehab in Kentucky. I don't know. I think I dropped that last time. I was at rehab in Kentucky, and in my first glimpse of the outside world, because we had no TV and we had no communication with anybody or anything, right? And I went to the doctor because I was going through it. And they had a magazine, and it's like my first piece of anything in a month, right? And it was a magazine where it had the brothers from Stranger Things.
Stranger
Lordy.
I love that show too. So, Stranger Things. They had an interview, but then there was also a smaller interview with this director and writer duo. And I remember reading it in there and really feeling compelled to find it when I got out, and I did. And I watched it in Sober Living with some guys, and it was one of those nights that I picked a movie, and I picked them often, and they always hated them, and they were always at the end. They were like, "Why did you pick this, Dylan?"
Which just shows you.
And I loved it. It's a good film.
Which just shows you if you don't have TV and shit for how long were you there?
It was only a month.
Even a month, anything is good.
No, I agree. This explains a lot.
I just love that you were like going down a dark path already, and you were like, I want to watch this super dark time.
No, it was a
movie.
light time.
That's-
I was in sober living. Life was good. Yeah, it was like a frat house with your, sober bros. It's good times. Super good
This
times.
movie really wasn't that super dark at
So
all.
we'll get into. I'd like to get into some initial thoughts from you guys. Let's start with you, Casey.
Initial thoughts from me. I definitely had never heard of this movie before, and the only person I knew in it was the kid from Ozark.
Oh yeah, that's him.
Yeah, Wyatt.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed, like, one of the things I enjoyed most about this movie was the banter between all the teenagers and how real life that was, because it kind of just took me back to how I was in high school. So it was an interesting time travel with the setting of the movie in the 90s, all of the old technology and stuff.
Did you chop a lot of milk cartons with samurai swords when you were a kid?
No, but I totally thought of you during that scene. I totally did, because Kris sent me the pictures or videos when he was in Japan of him with his little samurai sword, excellent stuff. So right when they were slashing the things, I was like, Kris!
I have chopped things with a samurai sword.
You sure have. But yeah, no,
in your mid-30s, not when you were 15.
I was 35 or 36.
I knew that the title was Super Dark Times, and I was like, this is going to get bad somehow. So I was like expecting the turn of events. So it was interesting. Yeah, interesting so far. Jim?
Yeah, well, like you, I hadn't seen it. Never heard of it. And it took me a while. Actually had to go back and rewatch like the first 15 minutes. First of all, I didn't understand the opening when it happened, and I'm like, whatever, I'll just go back and watch it. But I was getting the Zach and Josh characters mixed up. The only person I knew, same thing, was the kid from Ozark. And I couldn't place him, so I had to look it up. And so it's basically all these complete unknowns, never heard of the director. And I actually disagree, Casey. I thought it took me a while too to figure out what year it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I guess it was 96.
Yeah.
But the only thing at all that I could relate to the very opening when it's the porn, it's the scrambled porn.
Yep.
Definitely been there.
It's just on in the background too. They're just doing the
No. Again, not hanging out with my buddies, having that on in the background.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I didn't find the interactions that realistic, or perhaps it was just that none of all the characters were not sympathetic to me. So when the very dark things, super dark things, I'm sorry, did begin, it's kind of like I just it's all in these type of movies. It's always. It reminded me of that Cameron Diaz Last Supper, where it's these liberals who start murdering. It starts out with an accidental murder of Bill Paxton, and he's like this bigot. And then they start basically inviting people to dinner who are like, conservative assholes, and then poisoning them and killing them.
Is that like, what's that other movie that came out not that long ago that was basically that? There was a very recent movie in the past few years where the liberals were the ones hunting the conservatives.
Oh,
The Hunt.
The Hunt.
yeah, I saw that.
Hunt.
I saw that at that. It was that and Invisible Man was a double feature at that Las Vegas cinema. I'd never been there to drive-in.
That'd be a great double feature.
Bad experience. No, just the
movies or the place?
The place was a bad.
Oh, that's the
experience.
worst drive-in theater ever.
The only one we have.
I know.
Yeah.
For now.
For now.
For now.
Well, and it was it was during COVID too, so it was crazy. Anyway, so I really didn't. I just also found the pacing slow, and it was just overall just a little boring. I'm not going to say it was like one of your. I got through it. It was. It was a movie.
It's a glowing review from Jim over there.
So anyway,
Mr. Cinema Lover.
Chris, what did you think?
I actually really like this movie.
I thought he would.
Yeah, me too. The whole time I was like, Chris is going to love this movie.
I don't know if it was just the space it was in today. I got like 3 hours of sleep, so I'm in a very like tired but antsy,
Susceptible.
Yeah, susceptible.
Haze.
And just from the what's his name? Zach is the main character.
Yeah.
His whole paranoia and not sleeping, and I'm like, yeah, I get it.
I get it, man.
But no, I again, as soon as they introduced the kids, I did like the banter. What was his name?
Daryl.
Daryl. I could tell as soon as they brought him in. I'm like, you're a goner. You're not surviving. I know what the dark thing is. You're too annoying. You can't last this whole movie. And then as soon as they brought out the samurai sword, I was like, okay, here it goes. But I liked it. That was an intense moment in the movie. I was like, oh shit. And then the rest of the movie, I don't know. I definitely wasn't like on the edge of my seat, but I thought it was really interesting. And maybe again, just the space that I was in, I was like, something else is going on in this movie, and we'll get into it. That I have like an alternate theory on what was actually going on.
Right on. We'll save some of the good stuff then. So, yeah, this is only my second watch, and I'm interested to hear, your guys' thoughts on some of the, the storyline and what happens, and alternate theories is, sounds very interesting as well. And I fucking love this one, honestly. I think this watch I really appreciated a lot more, and I forgot some of the key points. Like, I remember the first inciting incident for sure, but I kind of forgot the ending. I don't remember that ending for some reason, which is strange because it's kind of a, significant thing that happens. And, I thought it was beautifully shot. I thought the cinematography was fucking phenomenal. There's some really interesting shots, some really emotional scenes, and the performances are fucking spectacular from a group of relatively unknown youngsters.
There was money behind this movie for sure.
Yeah. Well, it was like 1 to 2. It was a sort of a passion project. The writer director combo had it. They had the script for about 4 years before they were able to actually produce it. But no, I thought that it was very intentional with the mood and the emotion that was portrayed, and it was awesome. Like acting performances, truly.
I thought the main Zach guy did really, really good.
Yeah,
the guy from Ozark was fine. The girl, I think, did well.
Cappuccino. Elizabeth Cappuccino.
But him specifically, I don't know. I thought he did really, really, really well. I could feel like the angst and paranoia.
Oh yeah, I mean, he with very little. I mean, there's a lot of facial acting that was happening with him, and really setting the mood. And the mom too. The mom, for as little screen time as she had, I think she had a very effective performance in their relationship. You could tell a lot about what was going on with them, or how they were as a
they were
mother.
close.
Yeah, they're very close, and I just think that a lot of the subtleties in those performances is really what does it for me. Coupled with the shots. And it's kind of just that gloomy winter time. I think that
did they say where they
it's
were?
Upstate New York. They never came out and said it, but it was set in Upstate New York. I think it's where the director's from. But yeah, so I really enjoyed the high schoolness of it too. Like, because those are I definitely knew a Daryl. For sure. I knew a Josh.
We all knew a Daryl, for sure.
I didn't know, though. It's like, again, this is 96. It's like, are they in high school or are they in junior high?
They were in junior high.
No, they were in high school.
No, they were in high school. The Charlie kid was in 8th grade.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they didn't seem like, the older kids seemed like they were in high school. And these kids didn't even know about weed, are they supposed to be like 13 or 14? Or,
Yeah.
I think
like it was like a
junior
big
maybe
deal. Like, oh my God, there's weed.
It was for a lot of people. I grew up a lot different than a lot of people did. Like not everybody had the same experience as me growing up. And
what year were you born, Dylan? Come on, this is.
I'm not talking about years.
I was saying though, in the
matters.
setting, I don't know.
Well, it seems like
I think it
Allison
does.
was very versed. She was drinking and smoking and doing all the things. So
Again,
she was.
Part of my alternate theory
Smoking out of the Bible.
Well, okay, and I don't know if it's just me because this is my purview because I didn't have a dad, but where were all the damn dads? There was
were no
only
dads.
moms.
They were
there
working.
was only moms.
They were
No, not only
working.
that, like even the cool mom, it's like, oh, well, one kid's missing and another one's dead, and okay, well, come back whenever you want. Like,
Stay
it's
close to
not
the house
really-
He was
this
like,
week.
don't go too far.
yeah, I guess,
All
but
right.
again, it's like that would seem to be in a small community a big deal. I mean, I think that deer coming in the school would have been like big news, let alone some fucking kid just missing and nobody's even talking about it.
Well, so
like
that-
usually they have like big search
I
parties.
think
and-
we can get into some
Okay.
more of that because I think that you do bring up some interesting points because I actually I listened to some interviews and kind of heard about the making of the story and kind of what they were shooting for and some of the intention behind the story and how it played out itself and I do have sort of an answer for you on some of those points, but I think I think it's important to maybe talk about some of the plot, right?
Sure.
Because it's basically you got one main inciting incident, right, and then everything that follows afterwards, right? So the beginning of the movie, we get introduced to our two main characters, their best friends, Zach and Josh, right? And it kind of just sets the tone for their life out there, right? It's like it's high school, it's the winter time, Christmas season is coming, right? And you're kind of just plopped into the middle of like their little friend group and the awkwardness that surrounds, kids in high school, right? And that's all it is. It's, two kids that are our main characters and they go to meet Daryl. Daryl's a fucking just an insufferable, annoying fucker. And those scenes, I think, were very compelling too, man. Just the simplicity of going into a corner store, right, and reading the random shit, the squid, getting the dried squid.
That was
and,
funny.
Yeah, the melon drink. Why would anybody drink a melon drink? Just like these kind of innocuous, dumb conversations definitely felt real to me, right? Because they were.
I did that
like,
in high school.
Yeah,
I was like,
for
what
sure.
is this? I'll eat it.
Absolutely, and we're just kind of following these kids around as they're doing regular kid shit, and then they end up getting a sword from one of the kids' brothers is a Marine, so he's gone, and they decide to go raid his room for stuff, and under Daryl's request, right, they go into the big brother's room and they find some weed, which turns into a thing.
Is it Josh's?
Nunchucks.
Josh's big brother, yeah,
Yeah.
he's a Marine, but then they get this sword, and what ultimately happens is one of the kids gets killed. Daryl gets killed after kind of flipping out on Josh, who was pissed.
Like a
that
little argument.
It's just an argument.
And
Well,
weed.
they also found in the room birthday. I don't even know why they went up there. And then the annoying kid finds this weed, and he's like, "Oh, can I buy it off you?" And
Yeah. Should have just gave him the weed.
yeah, whatever.
Wasn't a big deal.
And again,
Would've chilled
this
that
weed,
fat fucker out.
this weed was not hidden. It was just like
In a
taped
cup.
to the wall or something.
That was in a
It was
mug.
in a
Oh,
cup,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, just chilling.
And then so the other guy, to kind of get him away from the weed, that's when Josh
Right.
was like, "Oh, I got something cooler than that. Check this out." And so they take the sword, and then they go out, and then the Daryl kid, unbeknownst to Josh, also steals the weed. And so now he's out there smoking. He said it's just a cigarette. I can't remember. what he
right.
said.
Yeah.
He was loading weed in the front of it, which we've all done.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. You empty out the front half, put some weed in there.
Yeah, there's an argument over the weed, and both of them have the sword at one point, and there's a really good tense moment where fucking Daryl,
The big guy.
is walking away with the sword,
Yeah.
and you're like, all right, what? It's happening.
Yeah, what's
Well,
happening?
the tension is building, and then he throws the sword, and then Josh picks it up, and then for some reason Daryl rushes him. Like, who rushes a guy with a samurai sword? An idiot.
Yeah.
They fall, and the sword goes right through his neck, and not even necessarily in a very dangerous place. He probably could have survived, but they're kids, and they don't know. Well, some of them knew. They were like, don't pull it out. I'm going to pull it out. Don't
Yeah.
pull it out. And he pulls it out, and fucking, that's it.
Starts
funny.
running.
Yeah, Charlie, who's the one that told him to not pull it out, seemed like the most street smart.
And he was the
like,
youngest.
The youngest. He was like the most street smart and like knowledgeable of like crisis situations.
You probably
of all
saw
of
what
them.
happened to Steve Irwin. You never pull it out.
I'm fascinated that Daryl ran for so long.
It takes a minute to bleed out.
I think
Well-
the adrenaline got him, and he was all hopped up on that adrenaline.
So it's funny, actually. Now I think I'm piecing it together, right? Because the opening scene is that deer, right after it got shot. Because the hunter, it opens up on the deer bled out in the room, right? And the hunter comes in and sees the deer there dying, and they end up killing it. But that's essentially what Daryl does, right? He gets stabbed.
I watched it twice and I didn't even get that.
He gets stabbed and then he runs off like a deer would when
I thought it was
hit.
just a deer. Like
Again, I think that scene has way more significance than people realize.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's there. There's intention and something behind it.
Again, with the alternate theory that I have.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Again.
building up the
Building it
suspense.
up.
I love
Building
it.
it up.
Keep building it.
I will.
So essentially what happens is Daryl gets fucking killed, right? And then they all decide, they're like, well, we gotta fucking lie now. Now
Yeah.
it's time to lie.
Yeah.
There's no
We
reason.
can't tell anybody.
Let's put leaves over the body.
I mean,
Again, I get it, I guess.
Yeah.
If you're 13, you're like, there's no way I'm not going to go to jail for my whole life. I think 2 years older, you're like, let's just call the cops.
yeah, because I mean, like, ultimately,
It's an
it was
accident.
Huh?
ultimately, it's
an
an
accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well,
You might get some
although-
juvie.
No, I mean there are.
right.
I mean there are true life cases of this exact same thing.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
exact, but like dumb kids doing dumb things. But
Yeah,
usually,
suplexing their little brothers
usually
and breaking
the-
their fucking necks. And,
yeah, well, but usually if it's a true accident like this, they'll go tell somebody.
Yeah.
But if there was some weird, thing like
I mean, there was a fight. And
underlying,
then again, with the context of the movie, Josh isn't the most sane.
Mentally well.
Because you see the three people that were there for it, that did the cover up, like all the different reactions, all their different reactions. Josh just disappears, and
Charlie's
Zach,
like, never talk to me again.
The
Charlie's
smartest guy.
Yeah.
smartest
Dude.
guy.
Get the fuck out. Get the fuck away from me. Have you not watched a crime thriller ever in your fucking life?
Zach's like, I'm going to go back to the crime scene. Let's go do that.
No,
Well,
He's just freaking out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he was losing it.
He was definitely losing.
Charlie was like, "Oh man, the second the cops come, I'm spilling everything. I'm not going down for these."
Right.
I'm not keeping my
It's like, I
mouth
don't even
shut.
know these guys.
Right.
They didn't even go to my school. Fuck these guys.
So I want to know. I want each of you guys to answer. What's an incident that happened when you were younger?
Oh,
What's
An
the
incident.
The incident.
An incident and like what?
I'm guessing
anything.
Dylan killed somebody when he was a kid.
Okay. I
Anything
mean,
that comes to mind.
well, when I was in 8th grade, I went to a middle school that across the street there was like a church, and then there was like a dirt lot with like rocks in it. And I was in 8th grade, and so I had a bunch of friends who had already gone on to high school. So my friends and I were waiting for our friends to come from high school to come hang out with us after school. And I didn't hang out with the smartest group of people, I guess, because some of them took to going to throw rocks back and forth from the dirt lot to the parking lot and back again. And then they got tired out. A couple of them left, and I was sitting on the little retaining wall thing with my two guy friends, and this cop pulls around the corner and goes, whoop, whoop. And the two guys just go, run. And I sat there because I'm just a good little girl in 8th grade, just hanging out. And the cop rolls up, and I'm like, hello, officer. And he's like, can you tell me what you and your friends were doing? And I was like, oh, we're just waiting for our friend to come, whatever. And he's like, we got a call that there was some damage because some rocks were thrown and hit some cars or whatever. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, my friends were doing that. I was just waiting, whatever. He's like, sometimes it's just the people that you're around that get you into trouble. So you might want to think about who you're hanging out with. So he put me in cuffs.
Oh shit! I didn't expect that.
Called my mom. They found the two boys that ran away, which was hilarious. So the two boys actually ended up staying the night in juvie, or in a holding whatever, something,
juvie,
right,
yeah.
overnight. And I got to go home, which was not a great option for me because my mom rushed over from work and she saw me in handcuffs, and I had no birthday or Christmas for 2 years.
Ooh, that's a long one.
Yeah, I was
My
a very overprotected child, and I had a lot of expectation on me. So I think she was trying to be like, this is why you shouldn't be in the wrong place at the wrong time, even though you did nothing wrong and you actually sat and talked to the cops and waited and did the right thing. So
But a 2-year
mixed
sentence.
messages. Yeah, 2-year
Very
sentence.
mixed.
The two kids got out of juvie the next day, I'm sure, and their parents were like, cool, bye. But
Yeah,
me,
don't do that again.
Yeah, having parents
definitely
that don't
different
care
story.
is rad.
So I would say that
It
was
is.
that was probably the only incident I had, because then I did nothing. Because I was like, well, if I did the right thing this time, if I do the wrong thing, I don't even know.
So you didn't go super dark. You didn't go super dark.
That was my super dark.
Right,
yeah, that
but
was as
you
dark
didn't
as it got.
continue it,
I did
yeah.
not. No,
That
I
would
was
go Josh.
I was a good child.
That was like, what is it? Ambient at best.
Ambient. Ambient? I don't know if that's the word you're looking for.
I don't know.
Opaque.
Not dark.
Opaque-ish.
Yeah.
Jim, what was your incident?
Well,
He's like,
As he shakes his head.
on that level,
You can go dark. You saw the movie.
super dark. Jim.
Don't be like me.
because like by the time I got to high school, every fucking weekend was
Super dark
that
time.
shit. Yeah, I mean we were
Kids
doing,
died every weekend.
No.
We were stabbing kids left and right with samurai
We were
swords.
definitely doing like fake car accidents and staging kidnappings at malls, just for our own fun. You know, it was literally jackass stuff before. We never thought to film it, but anyway, I do remember one that just scared the shit out of me when I was like, I think I must have been 12 or 13, and I was over at my friend's house who lived in this super nice area, the rich area of Minneapolis. And it was on this, like, I don't know, 50 acre, all the houses there were like these huge, wooded area places. And his parents were gone, and we started, being the little pyromaniacs that we were, start playing around in the garage. And we got the brilliant idea to like gas up these like torches, like big long torches, with like rags and shit. And it just got completely out of control, like literally where
Inside the garage?
well, it started inside the garage, then we got outside.
Oh.
But like it was like probably, and we were just like completely like we're gonna fucking burn this house down and like stamping out the shit. And we finally get everything put out. And I mean, we're literally like, I just remember being like pulse poundingly, heart poundingly fucking freaked out. And then it was all about cover it up. And of course we got away with it. But I think maybe like his parents found out like way later, or by that time, because I was like staying over for the weekend. By that time I was out of there. But
No, not one of you lived with like
most of the things that actually scared me like that were when I was a lot younger. I'd say like 12. Your little neighborhood friend group. You get into shit, and but I don't think I had any meaningful like interaction with the police until I was in my late teens, early
Right.
20s.
Right on.
So, Chris.
So none of you guys had like a crippling guilt afterwards that you suffered
we
from?
had suicides and shit at my school.
Oh shit! I mean, okay.
But not like
I was meaning from the
murders
specific
or-
incident.
What? Not like murder.
No, not from the fire incident in the garage.
No.
okay.
Again, that was like a personal thing.
Yeah,
It's like, but yeah, no, like drug overdose. It was like a big deal in my suburban school when like, oh wow, there's a girl here who got pregnant, and that was like a big deal. So it's not like there was
Super dark.
Not there was kids disappearing. Or,
I grew up Eastside Vegas. Half the population of my class got pregnant, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Chris?
There's so many.
Give me one.
How do I narrow it down? What was the first inciting incident? What was the first one?
Well, I mean, there were like really big like fights that were like super dangerous where people got really, really hurt and like have lifelong damage that I was accompanied to and part of. I think the darkest one was when a kid on my football team murdered a guy we bought weed from. Like, it's actually two kids who were on my football team. They were 1 year younger than me, and they everybody would buy weed from this dude that worked at KFC right here on east side of Las Vegas. And one night they went to like go buy weed from this guy, and he had like a really nice car, like a Mustang, and I guess that he was like, all right, when I get off work, I'll like take you guys to get the weed, and like we'll go smoke or whatever, and done deal. They got in the car and I guess pulled out a gun and took him up to like the hill on Lake Mead, shot him, stole his car.
How old were these kids?
Like 15.
Where'd they get a gun from?
Eastside Las Vegas.
Boof.
There's lots of guns
East
on these
Vegas,
streets.
baby.
They shot him, and he didn't die. And they took his car down to the gas station right there on Lake Mead in Hollywood and filled up a gas can, brought it back up there, and lit him on fire.
No.
Yeah. And then the next day, there's camera footage of them. They were driving the kid's car that they just killed.
And they filled up a gas can.
So the next day they arrest one of them, and then they go to arrest the other one. And for some reason, the cops put him in the passenger seat because he was like maybe 4'4", super tiny kid, little guy. Put him in the front, and he got out and ran, and the cops fucking shot him, killed him.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
So
that is a super dark time.
it was crazy. Again, I knew all three people.
And then did the other guy get away with it?
He did. I remember years later, I was at Boulder Station cashing checks because you could go to Boulder Station and cash a check.
Yeah, you still can.
Yeah, and
For free.
the one dude that was on the football team was fucking right behind me, and I remember turning around and being like, "What's up, man?" I'm like, "Oh, fucking, you're out."
Remember when he killed that kid?
You remember when he killed that guy?
That was crazy, huh?
Yeah, almost that.
Wild times, right?
Wild times.
So did he go to jail for like a long time, or like what
No,
happened?
it was like, I don't know. I think I was a sophomore when it happened.
Yeah.
The kid that got killed was, so he was a freshman. I maybe was 22, so
Yeah.
he probably was in there until he was 18. And the story that I got was that he blamed everything on the guy that
Died.
died.
Yeah.
And got however many years till he was 18 and got out.
Dang.
Wow.
Do your crime when you're a juvenile, guys.
Yep.
what
So that was
motto of our
probably the
podcast.
darkest thing that I was adjacent to or knew about or
Yeah.
semi.
That was extra super dark. They set a guy on fire.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Why not just shoot him again? Why go through the time? Like, why go fill up a gas can and set him on fire? Did you run out of bullets? What's happening?
Why put leaves over? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
You're not-
Cover the body, obviously.
again, I think their
Until the
thought,
next wind.
I think their thought process was if we burn it, then there's going
Yeah.
to be no evidence. And these are 13, 14-year-old kids who just killed a guy over probably $60,
Right.
you know, and some
Yeah.
weed. This is ridiculous.
Well, mine's less dark, but I got
This
some
is
of
called
those.
Super Dark Times.
No, I got some of those stories too, but I think I already told one on the pod before. But what this reminded me of, like the incident, it must have been the first incident really for me because it was 7th grade. I was going to Roy Martin Middle School, and my brother Reese told me I wasn't at school one day, and he told me he came home. He's excited. He's like, "Dylan, we set a fire," and I was like, "Really?" They're like, "Yeah, it was a big one." It was next to the school, right? They set some bushes at the park on fire, and he was proud of it. And I was like, that's really cool. So the next day after school, we decided to go check out the evidence, right? Check out what happened. Because he was like, you know what? And I think there was like a bag. There was like this homeless dude's bag was in there. And I'm pretty sure it's full of beer. We should go check it out. So
Burnt
we go.
beer? You're like, we're going to get the
See,
burnt
it's-
beer?
We go over there. We get the burnt beer. It's a Budweiser 24-ounce can. Dylan's 11 years old, 12 years old, and
The
we get
bum
this
is there burnt.
dead. No, that would have been crazy. But we get this
Even
24.
worse, it's a puppy.
Oh no!
Oh no! It's getting worse and worse.
Extremely dark.
Extremely bleak times. But we get this 24-ounce beer, this Budweiser, and I don't know. We brought cups. I just remember having cups. We had a couple plastic cups, and we fucking poured it into cups, and we went and we drank it in the dugout. 24-ounce can with 3 guys, kids, and as soon as that beer touched my lips, there was a cop that just happened to be driving he was driving in the park because
Sure.
obviously he was coming to check out like what happened after the fire, and he sees a bunch of kids over there rifling through it, and he drives over and arrests us. He arrests us. I'm 12. It must have been 12. I think I was 12, and we got taken to West Care Women and Children's Facility, and my parents called. But that was the first time I ever touched alcohol. I got arrested.
Did you get punished for 2 years like I did?
No, I was kind of a
Boo.
latchkey kid. My dad and mom were split, so they had a lot of, they had a lot of work
Boo.
to do. 4 kids were a lot to watch.
So aren't you glad you got punished though, Casey?
Yeah.
Because
See, look how I
we
turned out.
put you on the straight and narrow.
Now look at
Your
me.
mom knew what she was doing.
I mean, you guys both ended up on this podcast.
Yes, we're all here. You know murderers, and I'm a good kid. I
Yeah,
don't
we
even
all
know.
we all converged at the same place at the same time.
Those are good stories, guys.
Yeah, I like it.
that. I like story time.
Yeah, so I think really what happens after the incident is like the meat of this movie, really, right? Is everybody's reaction to the incident, and I kind of just want to hear what your guys' thoughts are and like how it transpired and what each character was going through. I mean, I don't need you. I mean, whatever.
Well,
however you want to.
I think the meat of this movie is Zach, right?
Yeah.
It's Zach going down the rabbit hole, right? He's in love with this girl, but for some reason can't pull the trigger.
Lips very near each
Because they're
other.
literally fucking 13 years old, man.
I'm just saying.
They can't even smoke weed. You know, he's going to
Correctly.
know how
Getting
to...
boners in
Yeah,
class.
He came.
He's going to know how to, like,
He busted
pull
a
the
nut.
trigger. You know, I mean,
You can
come
stab
on,
somebody
man.
in the neck, but you can't.
Right.
You can get rid of a body, but you can't kiss a girl.
Not really.
All right.
It's hard,
But-
man. It's scary.
Not as scary as hiding a body. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but he had to do that.
Again, dude,
I
they
would've been-
didn't hide the body. They just put leaves over it, okay? If he would have dug a grave, he would have boned the girl.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know?
No follow through. No follow through.
But I mean, the meat of that movie is just him getting increasingly paranoid about what's happening and slowly realizing his friend may not be as safe, right? Or
Innocent.
Well,
I mean, I don't even think "well" is the right word.
Well, he's not so innocent because it's ultimately it was an accident, but
There,
something happened and was triggered
was
in
it?
Josh.
because he's like, I think his whole thing is he's like, I don't have any information on what the other people are going through right now. I know what I'm going through, and it's fucking terrible, and I'm ready to crack. Everybody else must be, and they're kind of not. They're kind of just like they have their own experiences with it, and one of them is essentially pretty dark, and
Super dark.
and there's this weird push and pull between Josh and Zach, and what's the girl's name?
Allison.
Where they both like her, but it was Josh's dream girl. I think it's said in the beginning with the whole glue scene, right?
right.
So there is some like jealousy stuff going on, and I mean, I really liked Zach as a character and as an actor, but it was good. Like they did a good job of like showing him go down this paranoia and being really needy and kind of whiny, but I enjoyed it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't get that at all.
What'd you get
I
then,
think,
Jim?
Chris, what you were trying to say was again, I just get them mixed up. Zach's the one.
Zach's the main guy.
Okay, Josh is the one.
That goes crazy.
With
Josh is the
glasses.
one from Josh is Wyatt.
Ozark, yeah.
Ozark,
Josh
okay.
Wyatt.
So I think Zach, what you were kind of trying to say was that he realized maybe I don't know this
Yeah.
Josh guy at all. Like, and then they just dropped the Charlie character. I don't even remember him being in the rest of the movie.
He's in like two or three more
two
seasons.
seasons. Yeah.
And they don't have any. I thought maybe the best post-murder scene was when after the party. So they go to this party because everything's kind of going pretty good up until the murder part for Josh. His dream girl, like
Alleged murder.
straight up likes him. She's like calling him up, inviting him to her party. So it's like things would have been going really good for this guy if it wasn't for the stupid retard friend who fell on the sword.
This fucking guilt. This guilt of his friend's death
Well,
weighing on him.
Yeah, and I mean, I think would be Josh's probably the most normal reaction that you would have. I mean, you don't just walk away from something like that, especially like, oh, okay, the next day.
You mean Zach is the most normal reaction?
Zach,
Okay.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you don't just walk
So
away.
say Josh is not very normal afterwards.
Yeah. And Josh shows up at the party, and now he's, it's like, what? He's like,
Nonchalant.
I'm this big weed dealer now or whatever. And
Here's
literally,
this weed.
yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, this is my in with these people. And then one thing we didn't touch on was the whole Josh was getting kind of bullied by
Mike
The
Honeycutt.
blue-haired guy.
Well,
John Honeycomb or some shit.
Whitcomb.
Whitcomb.
And later, after the party, this guy dies falling off a bridge.
That they were on in one of the scenes earlier.
and Josh was standing on the edge of it.
And
Yeah.
so in
Brooding.
Zach's increasingly paranoid mind, he's like, why would, and then he kind of finds out that he was buying weed from this guy, and who's? I thought this was my best friend, and now he's like this weed dealer. And it's kind of things are falling apart.
Yeah.
Again, it's just for me, it was kind of just I knew there was going to be it's going to end up in I just knew kind of how it was going to end. And I didn't think a neighbor would come in and just.
Oh, I did. As soon as they were in the front lawn, I'm like, oh, it's the only way.
Well, I thought one of them was going to get killed, but I knew it was going to come down to a final fight.
Yeah, fair enough.
And there's no, you don't know what happens to either of them at the very end, and it was just kind of ended. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Where are you at, Casey?
Post-murder case
So
or anything?
I will hold on to this too, but I also have an alternate theory of things. And it's really interesting to see how everything kind of shapes up after the murder, especially because, Charlie kind of just becomes like this character that it's not really involved in like the plot afterwards, and how emotional Zach is with the whole thing and all of the dream sequences and all that stuff. And I did really think that the Allison situation was really confusing because she called Zach to invite Zach and Josh to the party and then was like really into Zach seemingly, but then was like, well, Josh is cool too. So it's kind of like this dystopian thing where Josh and Zach are kind of leading like the same life up to a point, and then after the murder, then everything kind of like segments. So that goes into one of my
They're
theories.
the same person.
Correct. Bam, 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 bam. So I was like, my whole theory about it was very Fight Clubby, and he's like Tyler Durden, and Tyler never existed. So I was like, is the Josh character just all in Zach's head? Because like you never really see, other than at the party, you never really see Allison talk to Josh, and like he's kind of just like off in the shadows and such. So I was like, yeah, I don't know what's happening with that. So. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate
good
that.
theory that I
shake
don't
your head
agree
at me.
with.
Exactly.
My theory is that Allison and her friend were the same person.
Nice. See, look, there you go.
Oh, is it time for me to do my alternate theory now?
No.
Oh,
not
go
yet.
ahead.
No,
No,
not
yours
yet.
is
Actually, I really like
And we can make fun of yours.
I really enjoy your theory and the discussion on the characters afterwards, because like the paranoia that Josh starts to feel and his reaction and his kind of the dissolution of his reality, right? It starts to fall apart, and
So it felt like that could kind of be like a
right
separate part of the personality, because like if the three boys were there, right? If it was Charlie, Josh, and Zach, and then Charlie's out,
right?
Like if it was just Zach and Josh there, and it was Daryl, like maybe it was just Zach.
Oh shit.
Because Zach's the one that actually goes and talks to Charlie. Josh doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So, like, and Charlie's like, I'm not saying anything. And, like, Charlie never mentions Josh. So it's like, I don't know. There's this whole thing in my head.
No,
he
fair
does.
enough.
I mean, he does mention it.
Yeah,
but
no, they
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
No,
That's
I
fine.
don't agree with it, but I appreciate
Sure,
that, because
exactly.
there's obviously a lot of like allegories or things that are happening. It's like symbolic of
Sure.
childhood and friendships in general, right? And what that incident can represent is, maybe not just a singular incident in most kids' lives, right? It's just kind of like when things change and you're going through, you go through sort of metamorphosis. I mean, I know I did in high school, right? And the people that I was friends with at these ages and these groups kind of change and fracture, and you move on, and your life changes, right? And no, I think that it represents a whole lot more than like just that. But with the actual murder itself, Jim, you brought up something earlier. I forget what it was. I had a rebuttal for you.
Putting the leaves on the grave.
Oh,
and-
yeah. You were saying something about. You said that you had listened to some
research.
interviews.
Yeah. What was your?
I was saying like, it just
There was no search parties.
there was like it was. It
Yeah. So this is exactly what. So it's all told from Zach's point of view, right? You're always following him. So that's like the reason that all this stuff that's happening, it's not really focused on the bigger picture. It's not focused on the mom or the parents or the cops, even the search parties. Like all this stuff obviously could be happening, but this is just through his point of view, right? And you just kind of hear the whisperings, even when Zach's going through school, and you hear the whisperings of, that Daryl kid's missing, right? Or even hearing about John Whitcomb being killed or dying, right? Like all this stuff is just through his point of view. So that's kind of the point of how they told the story, at least, right? Is everything that's unfolding is going on outside
for
of
the
him.
very beginning, and the very end.
Right, sure.
Or, no, I'm just
Well,
Yeah.
some of those things were in his head too,
well,
what
the
do you mean?
dream
like the
sequence,
the whispering and stuff. I think that was to show like that it was literally him walking to school and thinking that everybody is
Right.
and like creating that paranoia.
Yeah, and I can see that too. I think it could. I mean, I think that there's probably some truth, and it's exaggerated. Just because, like what we hear in our head and the story that we tell ourselves and that we see is different from what's actually happening. But I think a lot of it is definitely, it's told through his viewpoint and his thought process.
I think it's a little bit of both of yours, where it's that he's creating this tension and shit in his brain, and there may be a little bit, but it did very much seem like nobody really gave a fuck that 2 kids died. And again, if that's part of the filmmaking, so be it. If that was their
well,
intention.
they never even found the body, did they? Can't remember.
No, not that I recall.
Not in the movie. No.
Probably not till after the last fight sequence.
After a really, really breezy day blows the leaves off the dead.
Well,
kid.
people must not be hiking because
I
everybody
guess,
everybody that is like just left on the ground, even in rural areas, I feel like are found very quickly.
There
There's
are-
always a hiker, somebody walking their
But
dog.
there's always those stories of the people who just go up a mountain and disappear.
Right.
Right.
That's
and
true,
that
too.
seemed like it was a little bit off the beaten path. It wasn't like on a trail. He kind of like ran into the forest, like through some trees, and it's
Right.
just
Yeah.
like not in this area that's going to be very.
But there's
treaded.
always somebody walking their dog finding bodies.
Guess
Every
not
story
that
is
town,
there.
yeah.
Well, or again, like, where's that kid's parents? They're like, oh, we don't care. Like literally,
They're all latchkey kids, man. So yeah, I mean,
the dad's at work for 2 weeks.
maybe you can take us through the ending and give us your
So
your theory.
I'll do the ending is that Zach gets increasingly more paranoid that Josh is murdering people with that kid with the blue hair, and he starts getting really paranoid and wants to know like, oh, he finds out that the sword that they hid was missing, so he goes back to the crime scene and the sword is gone, and the only other person that could take it is Zach.
And the body was
I mean,
way
it's
more
Josh.
messed up too.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. The body's all
Sure, I could
mutilated. His fingers were cut off. And he calls Charlie, right? And Charlie's like, I don't fucking know. I don't give a fuck. Stop calling me. I don't know you.
On his shoe phone, right?
Yeah.
Isn't he on a
Yeah, the shoe phone was crazy.
That dude was a gangster.
Charlie he might
He
have
was
been
a gangster.
Charlie would have boned Allison.
Yeah.
Oh,
Charlie's
right off the bat.
100%.
Charlie's running a fucking crime family right now,
Yeah.
for sure. An organized crime family in upstate New York.
This is how it happens. This is how you become a mob boss. But he gets increasingly more paranoid that Josh is a violent, unstable person who's out for blood. And
He's not wrong.
no. And specifically, he goes to his house, I think, to find Darren's bag. Daryl's bag and maybe the sword. And none of that's there. And he sees from an old caller ID that...
Box thing.
yeah,
Evidence.
that
He's over it early.
he has been talking to Allison.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I thought it was interesting. Not interesting. I don't know, a little over the top where he like looked at his cast and was like, oh, yeah, that's the number of the girl that I like.
It's for dramatic effect.
Who I can't kiss.
They're showing, not telling. You know?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Wasn't it her friend's house?
Well,
No, it was, but he like goes to her house first.
Right.
And there's these juxtaposition scenes where like Josh is over at Allison's house or Allison's friend's house, Megan,
With Allison. And
with
Diane.
Allison. So it's murderer guy, girlfriend, and girlfriend's friend.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, they all recently really got into weed, which I can relate to.
All it took is one.
Yeah, I remember when I first got into weed too. It was like that. It's like, when are we smoking?
It was a
Who's
big
got
deal.
it?
Yeah.
This is fun.
That's the event. We're hanging out.
Well, okay, so those were not from. So Dylan, those sequences were not from Josh's, unless he was just imagining what was going on.
No.
They were not from his.
They're
Oh,
not.
for sure.
But they have
For
to
sure.
show shit for like
Yeah.
what's going on. They showed a couple of scenes of Josh like putting the quarter in the.
Yeah, there's like a
The-
couple splits, but
yeah,
very minimal. I
yeah.
mean, it's not to a T, but very minimal. I mean, it's told mostly through
But there are these
his viewpoint.
again juxtaposition shots of like these three like doing a weed deal and talking about smoking, and then these really intense slow motion shots of Zach running down the street with like in Inception music where it's just like ball.
Did his bike break or something? Because he rode his bike to the house.
Right.
No,
I was like,
he
riding
destroyed
a
his
bike
bike at the beginning of the movie. Remember?
Yeah, but he rode it
No,
over
but he rode it
to
yeah.
Allison's house.
I don't know. I know when he
the bike. Where's the
It
house?
looks better to
Run.
run.
I know when he knocked on the door and her shitty brother came out and smoking. First of all, he's smoking inside, and that's one thing I do remember about the 90s.
Lots
is
of smoking
Everybody
inside.
smoked inside.
Especially out there. It's fucking 3
Gross.
degrees outside. It looks freezing.
But anyway, so he runs from Allison's house to Megan's house, and
Because the brother,
Yeah.
Allison's the brother's just this total
douchebag.
Oh, he was
for no
he
reason.
was a cool guy. He's a cool guy.
Cool guy.
Older brothers are always the biggest douches.
Like, is Allison here? Who's asking? Me, motherfucker! Like, I'm trying to save her life, you fucking piece of shit.
At least he spoke up then.
That
I
guy
know.
is the closest thing to a father figure in this entire movie.
Yeah, why you
Fucking
think?
brother.
See that you
Older
could have turned out
asshole.
like Allison, okay? If you
Yeah.
see exactly,
I mean,
you're
she
lucky.
seemed pretty cool. I'm just kidding.
Too cool.
Now. So yeah, he finally makes it to Megan's house, and I don't know why I remember her name. I think it's because it was written on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes in there, and there's a whole scene too where Josh pulls out the sword, and
Well,
they're like playing with it and smoking
Before
weed.
that, he's chugging milk, staring at them.
She's
Again,
like, oh,
this
it's
is
so
a
weird.
This is a callback to another movie. I don't know if you know that.
No.
It's a callback to a lot of movies do this. It's similar to
Pulp Fiction has the scene where he sucks down the whole.
Milk.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah,
No,
well,
it wasn't
no.
milk,
It was
something
a
milkshake.
Kuhn-Herberger. It was a Sprite.
Oh no. I mean, I'm talking specifically
Oh,
a
milk.
glass of milk.
Oh, okay.
It's done in other movies. There's two food things that symbolize something. One, they do it in Clockwork Orange, where
Oh, yeah.
At
What's
the
It's a milk bar.
Morova milk
yeah,
bar.
and that's where it started. And then other movies have done this, where a guy is going to go crazy or murder people, and he drinks milk,
Oh.
like a full glass of milk. And then the other one is
Yeah,
like
because it is a fucking psychopath's drink. A whole glass of milk.
Chugs milk.
shit on it, shit for it all the time. Exactly.
As you should.
Thank God.
Milk
you don't
is
have
so
a samurai sword.
1999.
Whatever. The other food thing, and I'll get back to the movie, is whenever a guy is like too cool, they're always eating an apple.
Yeah.
But anyways, they're doing the weed deal and about to smoke. And he pulls out the samurai
It's a
sword,
surprise.
and again, it's trying to build this tension of like, which I don't know if it does necessarily a good job in that scene, because I was like, is he going to stab anybody? I don't know. Maybe fucking Zach is just overreacting.
I think that was kind of the point of what was
Sure.
happening there. Yeah, because even when he's running, and I've seen the movie before, right? Even when he's running, I'm like, I feel like I remember him just like freaking out, you know? Like he just shows
For
up.
nothing.
Yeah, he just shows up and his paranoia just comes to a head, right? And he sees that he was ultimately like just going through it because he's really fucked up about the, what he did.
Without seeing the movie, what I thought at that time was like, oh, maybe this is just him freaking out, and his
Right.
friend is just trying to move on, and
And no,
His
he's
friend-
being weird.
And he's the
Bang the
weirdo.
girl.
yeah,
Right.
and
He's the one who.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
Right.
He's going to walk in banging the
The-
girl that he likes or something.
The
shit like
own
that.
in.
But that is
I
not
thought
what
I
happened.
thought he was going to kill Josh.
Agreed. I thought the same thing. Like maybe it would be some type of turn, but that is not what happened.
No.
He gets to the house and gets like a fire poker.
Yeah,
or a
instead
fire
of
shoot.
anything
no, it
sharp,
was a
he
shovel.
got the
It was a shovel.
shovel instead of the sharp thing next to it.
Well, he
Yeah.
wasn't thinking very clearly. Right?
Through the whole movie.
Right.
At all. No, for sure. And I think that, that was definitely all the point, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Still at least metal. So
Yeah.
It can hurt.
He makes his way upstairs to the room because the last scene that we saw, Josh, Megan, and Allison is there smoking weed in the room, right?
Chiefing.
Chiefing, fucking playing with samurai swords. Sounds like a great time. Sounds like it's literally a scene from Step Brothers.
It's a scene from my teenage years, for sure.
But he gets up there and the door is cracked, and you see a very different scene. Megan is essentially dead on the bed.
Yeah. Allison's tied up.
Allison's tied up with
Christmas lights.
Christmas lights, and Josh turns around and sees him and like kicks the door closed, locks it. And,
Bedroom doors can be busted in.
Oh, I would have got to
Come
that
on.
door in a second.
Zach was not very beefy, bro.
No, he
Like,
wasn't.
No, he
Josie.
wasn't. That's my bad leg.
Chris, really quick. There's a sequence though that you didn't talk about. So he drinks the milk. They go up to the room,
Yeah.
and when he's drinking the milk, Megan looks over at Allison and gives her a look like, this guy's a fucking psycho.
She says he's fucking weird.
He's
She
fucking
mouths
weird.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
she mouths it.
Megan says it to Allison.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
no,
then they
part
go
of the
up.
theory.
Then they go up, okay, to the room, and they have the shots of like Josh over
Running.
by the mirror.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry, Zach over by the mirror, and they're all like, "Aren't you going to smoke?" And he's like, "No,
Oh, that's
I'm-
Josh.
That's Josh.
That's Josh."
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he does eventually smoke.
No, I'm saying so, and he's like, "No, I'm good," and then he's like, "I got something else," kind of like when.
in the beginning of the movie.
In
Right.
the beginning of the movie, and he takes out the sword and then he gives it to Megan. Megan's like, "This is so cool," and she's like, "Oh, this guy's cool now."
With all the dried blood on it.
yeah,
And I'm like,
remember now that she took that one hit of weed, she's just fucked up beyond belief, right?
Hey,
Then-
one does it for me.
She's down
then-
to clown, bro.
Then
He smokes the weed.
Then he smokes the weed.
Right.
So now that's the setup of how
right.
they're all smoking weed together in the room.
And then, fucking Zach finally makes his way to the room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, right before that, one of my second favorite line, actually, my turn. Just like how Josh
With the-
'cause
with the
she's-
sword.
Yeah. He says my turn, and
I
like
thought
the
it was my
most
turn,
creepy
It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
last
shot
That's the last line before they cut away.
before they
Right.
cut back to Zach when he's coming in. Yeah.
And so yeah, he gets up to the room and again sees through the crack of the door like a bloody scene.
blood.
Yeah.
And he has to run outside, and he breaks through the window, and he finds Allison is tied up, and she has like these cuts on the back of her neck, and they don't really tell you whether or not she got stabbed or anything. And
No, very little context.
but Megan is obviously dead.
Yeah, she ain't moving on. She's on the bed.
No.
Bloody.
Then Zach makes his way downstairs, and there is a battle. A pretty brutal battle.
Scuffle.
He did not try to get. I mean, he tried to get away from those sword blows, but he
That's
was
a
not
long
good.
sword.
I
Yeah.
thought he was going to be dead from all that. I was like, oh, this kid's dead.
Well, yeah, right.
But there's this again. They're fighting in the hallway in the living room, and Josh slashes him in the back, and he chops him in the shoulder. Oh, and then he hits him in the fucking head.
In the head, because he tries to block it with his hand, and he ends up hitting his head.
Well, his
still.
cast blocks it.
His cast blocks it, but it still hits his head.
And,
but it stopped.
And then
It would have
get up
killed
to
him.
the front.
Well, first
Front
there's this
yard.
like really he like tries to reason with him. He's like,
Yeah.
"We're fucking best friends. What the fuck is going on here?"
Yeah, and you kind of think for a second, because you're like, yeah, dude, like, obviously a fucking screw has come loose. Josh fucking lost it. You know what I mean? Like, he's like off. But
part of my theory.
He's still hopeful that like maybe this will do it. The last ditch effort, I think it's going to do it, but it doesn't. And then he runs one more time.
And coming out the door, he gets fucking slashed in the back again, or in the shoulder this time.
Yeah.
And they make it out to the front lawn, and they're fighting Lethal Weapon style on the
They
front
are
lawn.
definitely reminiscent. It's just kind of like the angles,
It's
too.
raining,
The angles of it in the rain, you're
Yep.
not wrong. Yeah.
and Josh,
The only scene I've seen from that movie.
because I made you watch it.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
I just
Live.
watched It's Always Sunny, Lethal Weapon 6.
Yeah.
Same scene. They shot it like that.
Good scene.
Josh gets the sword and stabs him right in his fucking leg.
Oh, and he fucking
And then
muscles it
Zach-
out.
Yeah.
Well, Zach was
yeah.
holding on to the samurai
Yeah.
sword, like trying to.
I
don't
thought
know
his
what-
fingers were going to come out.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was trying.
No, I
to Is
didn't
he trying to hold it in, or is he trying to bring
He's
it
not
out?
making good decisions.
Yeah, right.
But he bites the shit out of Josh's hand, and
Yeah.
he lets go of the sword, and then Josh gets on top of him and starts choking him the fuck out.
Yeah.
And then
Randy from
The
next
new
door.
Randy. It was Randy.
It's definitely Randy.
it separates them, and cops come, and
Emmett.
Cops come immediately.
yeah,
They're just there.
yeah, cops come, and it is over, and we get to see the aftermath. If you want to, Casey, tell us the aftermath before I'm tired of talking.
Yeah, no,
Well-
I really, I thought that scene was great too. I mean, if you want to explain it too, that you're totally welcome.
So they show him in the hospital.
Well, no, before that, because when he's
Well,
out
first
in
of all,
front
what
of
did
the
you
house,
think about that fight scene in the ending and stuff?
I thought the fight scene was very effective, and
Just like him getting the justification of like, yeah, no, this guy went fucking nuts.
yeah. I mean, I tried to find the. I don't know if I really can dissect it too well, but I thought that it was interesting that they did ultimately decide to go with, yeah, Josh fucking lost it, you know. And I'm trying to like wrap my head around. Well, I'm trying to wrap my head around like what does he represent in that, right? Because obviously you're made to think that Zach is kind of losing his shit the whole time, right? And he's assuming things and he's projecting all this stuff, and Josh is going through his own difficulties. But I don't automatically assume, even with the evidence that Zach's kind of building, it doesn't kind of make sense that he would go crazy. But I think really once he brought the sword, right, and you realize that he was the one that grabbed the sword, like I knew then, like, oh yeah, Josh definitely fucking is off his rocker at this point and just kind of going for broke. You know, but yeah, no, I thought the fight scene was incredibly effective and you know, dramatic and,
it was really
and earned.
Good.
I think it was all very earned.
Brutal.
It was brutal,
It
and
was, there's a lot of tension.
Yeah.
It was sick.
yeah.
One thing I think is strange about this movie, with the like murder scenes, at least, like, and like surrounding that, is that there was always weed involved with the murder. So like the first one with Daryl, he like smoked some weed with the cigarette thing, and then he dies.
Weed
and
kills.
then the second guy, the John,
Welcome.
no, it was like with something.
The blue-haired guy.
Yeah, but
Not shown,
he was like the drug dealer.
And
Actually,
he
he was
died.
like,
and it was supposedly it was buying drugs.
right.
buying
So that was
weed.
weird. And then when the girls were in the room and then they were smoking weed, and then he got like the flash in his eye. So I'm like, is this like reefer madness? Like weed makes everybody go crazy.
It was
and
big
just, like,
propaganda
kill
against
people?
weed.
Right. So like,
That's what this movie's really about.
well, that's one of the things I thought
Don't
was
smoke
really
weed or you'll kill your
interesting.
friends.
It was
Because
literally off an eighth of dirt,
Yeah.
sticks and
Exactly.
stems.
Yeah,
had
one
no
single
idea.
bag of weed created all of this.
right, but like, because like by the time we get to the scene with the girls in the room, I'm like, oh, the weed's coming out, somebody's gonna die. Like, so I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing with that. That's what I was thinking.
Luckily, that black guy didn't get the weed.
Oh, that's
He
right.
would have been dead.
He would have been dead.
It was not the token black guy this time. It was the token fat guy.
But he was the only black guy in the movie, huh?
He was.
Yeah.
Right?
He was a weed smoker.
Yeah. Way to stereotype.
Trying
this
to buy
director.
weed.
Racist.
And he said it a bunch. Hey, man, you got
Right,
weed?
right.
Weed?
Weed?
He's
You
trying
got
to get
weed?
It's
Like, bro, you got weed? You're not answering me.
Man, I'd be asking you for weed if I didn't know where the weed guy was.
Whoa! Only black guy in town. I mean, fair.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But no, I thought the scene itself was very, like, the tension in it was definitely visceral, and I had no idea what was going to happen. I thought Zach was going to die. I thought Josh was going to die. I thought everybody was going to die. I'm like, is this one of those movies where everybody dies?
No,
like, what are we doing?
only Megan died.
Only Megan and Daryl and John.
Well, I mean, in the end.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
But
Fair.
do we know?
And
there,
no.
his body count could be higher. We were only tracking these. We don't know
Yeah.
who else he smoked weed with and then decided to kill. So
Yeah. So then we get the scene. What you got, Jim?
No, so do we? You said then we see him in the house. Do we see him?
No, we don't see him in the hospital. We see him out front of the house. So I think
No,
that
I thought we see him. He's sitting in the ambulance.
in the ambulance.
That's
yeah.
the last we see, and then we see Zach in the.
In the
Cop
cop
car.
car,
Cop
which
car.
is my favorite shot of the
It's a-
movie.
it's a
I was
good
going to
one.
ask
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys. I'm sure
It was
you,
a good one.
yeah, because when you see
He
just
just
his
like
face,
slightly leans back.
and then
into
it
the
goes black.
darkness.
Oh my god, it was so fucking
And
good.
then
Yeah,
that's
that's great.
it.
Pretty
right?
good.
And then that's it. And then it goes to Allison and school.
Just
In the sh-
Allison
in the
school.
shower
Yeah.
first.
Oh, in the shower. And then
Yeah.
she
There's a
goes
whole
to
thing with
school.
this movie in hands, too.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the antithesis to
Anyway.
Quentin Tarantino. And
No,
Feet.
I just I don't, because the very end we don't really know what's going to happen to Josh or Zach, and then we see Allison back in school. Josh isn't back in school.
Right.
Zach's not back in school.
Oh, Josh is in fucking prison. Josh murdered people.
Yeah. Oh, right.
There's somebody new behind Allison checking out her neck.
So we don't know what happened to Zach.
Yeah, who's
either.
the new
God,
Zach?
Just
And-
get them both mixed up. Because the other guy looks so much more like a Zach to me. For real.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, no, I
they could
agree.
switch names; it would have been more
yeah.
effective.
To me, it's,
Not wrong.
the entire movie, I was getting mixed up.
Yeah, Zach
And-
does look like a Josh I went to school with, for sure.
But anyway,
How'd you like the
No.
fight scene, Jim?
I just wanted to get the ending kind of set in my mind because before you start your theory, I also wanted to get the beginning because this is kind of like my Lone Star moment apparently where I had to go back and then I thought I knew what happened because I went back and watched it, but maybe I don't because you were talking about a hunter. I thought the first shot was just a
It was of the
a
trees.
window. Okay.
And
so
then it
must have been
pans to a window.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was just a deer, because this happens a lot. Like ran through a window.
The second person that you see. So the hunter is there because the deer goes in there before hours.
Runs through
and
the
you
hallway.
See, you're right.
You see the blood trail.
You see the blood trail, but you see the hunter staring in on it. He walks up in on it at first. He gets close to it,
Okay.
and then it goes to the morning time where the workers are there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, then the cop is the one that killed it.
Yeah, the cop. Okay,
Yeah, the cop
that's
stomped
what I
it.
wanted.
And Allison is there.
Yeah, she's watching through the windows. But I'm saying, so
Yeah, she sees when he goes.
the hunter just left and didn't call anybody.
I guess he can call the cops, and this is just how long it took
okay.
for them to.
Because literally, wasn't there a janitor? I thought a janitor found it. So anyway, I didn't realize that it was. I guess
Yeah.
that's not necessarily super important.
Not super important, but I think the whole point of that scene
it's
was
important
to,
in my theory.
Well, yeah, for sure.
That's what I was wondering.
I think context, like
Because when you said hunter, I was like,
I
what
didn't say
hunter?
hunter.
I
He
did.
said hunter.
Oh, okay. So anyway, sorry. Anyway.
yeah.
And then the
I
ending.
get clear. And then the ending, the very last shot is you see the back of her neck, she has some scars, and then she kind of like puts her hair
Lets her
over
hair
it, and it
down.
just ends.
And just goes on with life.
Yep.
Are we ready?
Stephen King ending.
Well, I have a really quick theory. I think the whole thing was in Allison's head.
Oh.
And
You're not far off.
Josh and Zach never existed.
All right. So follow me. All right.
I'm
You
following.
have the beginning of the scene, the beginning of the movie where Allison is watching the deer. She's like really, really fucking interested in the death of this deer. Then you have the whole accidental murder and everything, and then where the movie really shifts is after the party. So my theory is that Allison and Josh were in cahoots from the party on. So, first one.
Because they're really in love. or
No,
something.
because I think what
She likes
happened.
death.
I think what happened is that once Zach left the party, Josh takes her to see the body, and they
Grab
get
the sword.
They grab the sword and they mutilate the body together. And she's pissed because she keeps getting fucking rejected. And then the next person that dies is the one at the party, right? So
John,
the John guy.
drug dealer.
Oh, they did it together?
They did it together.
They were both there.
They were both there.
And then she hates her friend
And
because
she
they're
hates
both women. They hate each other.
Well, no. I think she's just really interested in death, and has this person. Again, her character completely switches after the party. She's like this really nice girl who's like good at school. They even show
Innocent-ish.
the teacher telling her she did really good on the test.
All because Zach rejected her. He didn't.
No, I think it's because of the weed. First of all,
Reefer madness.
but he is definitely like really in love with her. So I think after he shows her the body, she's like, I'm into it. Let's fucking do some more. And I think that explains more of why
Let's go have a murder party.
well, not only that, he was fucking shitty, right? He was going through whatever, but then this girl that he really likes is like, let's keep it going.
Yeah.
Let's fucking
You're
rock.
onto something here, kid.
Yeah, and she seems like not to be like incredibly stable after the party either.
There's
Right.
darkness in her, for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, and when at that last scene when she's sitting on the bed, she just seems totally like disjointed and like
that
not.
whole thing. If you watch it, because I had to go back and watch it, and I read about it. This is not completely an original idea. It's something I had while watching it, and then I went and looked it up. But they were just staring at each other the whole time. And even the line, Megan leaves, and then there's that like, "Are you ready?" "Yep." And then they go upstairs, and she's just like completely fucking relaxed. Again, like smoking the weed. She's drinking wine.
Well, and she started on the bed, then Megan ended up dead on the bed. So it's like, did he like tie her up and just let her watch? Like, what was the point
Well,
of
he
tying
gave her
up?
superficial cuts
Yeah,
to cover the tracks because he was going to be the one
Right.
that actually took the hit for the murder, right?
Oh, and
So
then she had to be tied
That's
up.
where it gets
Okay.
a little like
just like in 11-14, you get the little just you got
Shoot me right here.
Well, that's where this theory gets a little murky. Is like, what was their end game?
Yeah.
you know. But
Also, Chris, what about so then they would not have expected when they're so the idea was to kill Megan. they weren't expecting
Josh.
Josh to show up. So when Josh shows up...
No, I think they were expecting
Or sorry,
Josh.
Zach. Sorry,
I
Zach.
think they were
Yeah, no,
expecting...
I know. I've seen now we're all
I know,
mixing it
I'm
up.
going
Shit.
by what-
They weren't expecting Zach.
They weren't expecting Zach to show up, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, why would they?
Sure.
And again, this is what. And then when he does show up, unexpected. If it is unexpected,
Why would she be tied up?
Allison. Yeah. Why would number one? Why would Allison be tied up? Why would I don't know.
Again, not saying it's a foolproof theory.
And then I was going. The last thing I was going to ask, and then we'll go to you, Casey. Is there anything in the very, very end with the hands in the shower and the thing that explains this? But what are you talking about?
Just really quick, she did ask at the house if Zach was coming. That was a question that Allison asked.
And he said
Yeah.
no. Josh said
and he
no.
said no.
Yeah,
Josh
Right.
said
So
no.
they had a conversation
He said, unfortunately,
about.
I don't
So
think
Right.
so.
Unfortunately, I don't think so. Right. Which. So she did have that conversation. Just to circle back on that.
Yeah. So they weren't expecting.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Not at all.
Again, I don't know if that's like a sleight of hand type thing, or like is Josh coming? I don't think he's coming. You know, like kind of start
Right.
trying to throw
Off the scent.
or throw Megan off, or
Right.
Well, here's another. I have an explanation why she was tied up. Again, they weren't expecting Zach, and so he was just going to. They killed her together, tied her up. The scratches were to make it look like he was, whatever. And then she could have said, maybe they were going to frame Zach.
exactly.
Maybe they were gonna. He was just going to leave, and then get away. And then she would have, if somehow they were in it together. But if any of this is at all what it's supposed to be, I mean, to leave it so vague,
Ambiguous.
and ambiguous
Sure.
isn't
No,
okay. I guess, but
I
to
get
me, it's
it.
a little too cool for school. For me.
I get it.
It's so funny. The guy's next movie
Too cool for school.
called Too Cool for School.
Funny.
I
Again,
assumed he never did a movie after this.
I'm not saying it's a foolproof thing, and I can't remember all the little when I went back and looked
Easter eggs.
at it. There were quite a few little things and looks, and especially things that she did after the party that were leaning towards okay, she's in on it from then on, and then again opening with her and ending with her of she's curious with death, and now she was also rubbing her neck a bunch of times in the movie, in the back of the neck for some
Right.
reason. Again,
Yeah.
do I
No.
know for sure?
No, I don't
No.
know. But I thought, again, when I thought of it, I was like, yeah, I feel like she's in on it. And then
Yeah.
looking it up and it being an
theory.
actual theory, I was
Yeah.
excited.
No, I definitely I like that theory, man, and I appreciate you bringing it to the class over here. But no, I really like that because it's definitely open ended, and there's a lot of unanswered things about this whole story, and the way it's portrayed and told doesn't necessarily all feel true, right? Because I think ultimately this is Zach's movie, this is his story, and I think everything that's happening is either reality or fantasy that is projected through his own mind, right? And I think ultimately what it represents, all of this stuff that's happening, I don't know if it ever even necessarily happens. I don't know if the murders or the deaths are happening, but I think it's this scared kid, right? Here's my theory. He's a good Christian kid, all right, who doesn't want to do any bad. And then the girl that he really likes, right? He does something bad and he feels guilty, so he doesn't want to kiss her, right? That first time when she comes over to the house, he doesn't want
drove her
kiss
to
her.
murder is what I'm
no,
saying.
No. Hear me out. I listen to your theory. Hear me out.
I am hearing
right?
you out.
So
Where's the-
then what
I don't understand
happened?
the
So what
Christian-
happened is he did something wrong, right? He was with his friends, and then there was weed involved, and he felt guilty about it. And what he thought happened, it was like when people get weed, when they get weed, they get dead, right? This is his fear. He's a scared kid, and he goes back home, and then the girl he's got the biggest crush on is there, and she tries to kiss him, and he denies her, right? And then she's the one that ultimately smokes weed, and then he denies her every time after that, right? So Zach is keeping his distance because I think that he's a prude. I think that he is not accepting of other people doing things that he deems are bad.
Well, he
and
didn't
feels
kiss
guilty
her
about it.
earlier in the movie.
That's
either.
what I'm saying. He felt bad because he thought she was pure, right? He thought that
But he
she
didn't-
was a good kid.
He didn't kiss her before.
It was after the murder.
It was
though.
after the murder.
It was still
he
after
felt
the murder.
bad.
He
So
still felt guilty
it
about
flipped.
the murder.
It flipped after that. Once he realized that she's a no good pothead,
Right.
reefer madness, fucking
Right.
crazy person that's going to be around a bunch of death.
Well, are you done with your theory?
Yeah, and I think I think you got the gist of it. She was in on it after the party.
Right.
Yeah.
So with the ending,
Oh, they mutilated the body together too.
Right.
Right,
No,
you
for
said
sure.
that.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in like what would you like? Did you like the ending, and or how would you have rather it ended?
I don't always think of movies like that. I just kind of take them as they are.
Okay.
This one, again, I already had that in my brain that she was in on it. Like, I think right around when they were doing the weed deal, I was like, there's too many weird looks going on between them. And that weird comment before they went upstairs. And so, I mean, I was thinking like, okay, how are they going to do this? Like, I knew the fight scene was coming and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. Maybe it would have been nice if that was actually what they were going for to get a little more confirmation. But how would I like the movie to end? I think it would have been cool for Zach to chop Josh's head off with that sword. That would have been fucking awesome. Or stab Randy.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Emmett.
Yeah.
No. I think the ending was. What it was. I don't know if it's great or bad. I think it was good for what it was. You know. I don't know. Sometimes when it's ambiguous and it's kind of open ended like that, where the last scene you see is Allison, does get me thinking. You know, like the theories that were brought up here. You know, what does that represent? Why is she the final person? Right, which she was the initial person in the film too, right? So yeah, there's definitely some meaning behind all that, and I don't know. Yeah, I definitely take it on surface value too, and I think even with my theory, I don't think it wasn't even really my theory. I was just kind of
Recapping the movie.
Well, yeah. Well, I think I was just I don't know, riffing on something, coming up with ideas. But
I'll edit it out. Don't worry.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
No, it's
if
fine.
I ever edited an episode ever.
I think it was good. I enjoyed it, and yeah. What do we got over there?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, she wasn't the first person in the movie. The hunter was.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The first person the face that you saw.
So I didn't really like or dislike the ending because I didn't really like or dislike the whole movie. And I wasn't seeing all the things you guys were seeing. So I didn't have the investment. As we were talking about it, when you told me, Dylan, I actually agree more with Casey's theory. If there is a theory, instead of I just really don't care. When you said that the filmmakers talked about, you said the screenwriter and the director were talking about that it was all supposed to be from
Zach's point of view.
Yeah. That would make more sense to me because, and then all the other characters then would be peripheral. It would all be just the more split personality.
Yeah.
Whenever I think of these movies, everybody goes to Fight Club. I always think of a different Brian De Palma's Raising Cain.
Right.
It's just a different movie, but people don't know that movie.
Right.
But anyway, so, you know.
Is that the one with John Lithgow?
John Lithgow and Francis McDormand. Yeah, he plays like a bunch of different characters.
Yeah, I remember.
Anyway, so all in all, you know, if you want to get into final thoughts.
Yeah, we get into some final thoughts. Yeah, I think I kind of.
Well, I'm just being candid, bro. No.
We didn't get her thoughts on the ending.
It's fine.
Oh, what do you got? What do you think about the ending, Casey?
No, I mean, I think that a lot of times with movies that have the ambiguous ending, I always really want to go back and watch it again to see why they chose that ending or what they were really trying to say. So I love coming on the podcast, like Jim says all the time, to kind of talk through things and get different viewpoints of the movie, because going into this, I was like, this movie sucks.
Yeah, don't you agree, too, that it always makes it more interesting and it makes you think about what, you know, because especially, you know, a lot of times you guys are watching these together and
Not lately.
Well, just very few times.
Yeah.
You know, I actually I'm always watching it either with somebody.
Yeah.
Not one of you guys.
Right.
And so it's
Right,
definitely a different experience, you know, to talk about it. Cause like, obviously, Kris, if I was watching this with you today, right, we would have been talking about this during the movie.
Yeah.
And me watching it by myself, I'm just, you know, after a little while, you know, I'm just slightly checking out and, And, I mean, again, Dylan,
Classic Jim.
Well, no, I was doing the same thing. I was really trying to make it through this movie. Like, I was doing the same exact thing.
It's not as bad as a lot of the movies.
Right. But it was like halfway through, I was like...
Well, and sometimes...
I had that with this movie, too.
Sometimes when movies are bad, then it becomes I'm like watching it now, like, because I'm so,
interested in how bad it is.
Yep. And I have
how much worse is this going to get?
Yeah.
It's funny because, Jim, there's a line where you're like, if it's not bad enough, you can check out. If it's really bad, you check back in.
Yep.
But if it's even more bad, you just literally stare at a wall.
No, or leaves. He leaves.
Because in Vesper, we and Jim watched it together, and he just looked down this hallway the whole time.
I was turning and looking for the exit sign, which I do at theaters.
Yep. Yeah. But no, I thought that now talking with you guys and seeing the ending from a different point of view, like when I first watched it, I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's how the end is? It just ends right there? Like nothing? What happened to Zach? What happened to Joe? Because, I'm of the... I really like the movies that are like,
they give you a bow.
Josh ended up doing this. Zach ended up doing
with the freeze frame and the writing.
Exactly,
That's what you want.
Exactly. I want the picture of Josh in the handcuffs going to juvie and like, Josh served 14 or whatever.
Three consecutive life sentences.
Exactly.
Got out 3 years later.
Found out that he was a serial killer of 12 people during this time.
Was a prolific serial killer.
Right. And his girlfriend Allison was an accomplice. But so about the ending, I like it better now talking to you guys and also hearing the other theories also. And it does make me want to go back and watch it because I actually... For the first piece of the movie, I didn't really watch because I was having connection issues and sound issues. So I was trying to get it to work on the thing I was working on. So I think I missed the first minute or two. No, I did not. I watched it on a site that provided it for free, but it had commercials. Which
Plex?
I watched it on Plex.
Oh my God, there's so many commercials.
There were so many commercials.
I ended up buying it.
But
not me.
I think I missed a couple of the moments because I didn't actually see Allison looking through the window or whatever, so I think I definitely missed that
initial
key string throughout the movie. So now that definitely does make me want to go back and watch it again. So I definitely like the ending more talking to you guys than I did before.
Right on.
I was actually mad at you yesterday. I was like, fucking Dylan.
No, again, see, this shows that you have not been on the podcast that long. This is not. I agree. I didn't really like this movie, but this is not a bad.
I like you guys to get out of your comfort zone.
Well,
right?
I enjoy that. I do enjoy that.
We're gonna check out Dylan's taste.
I'm gonna do the captions for the ending for Casey, and then do my final thoughts.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so we got Megan. Dead.
Josh sitting in the cop car.
Yeah, they get the white writing, right?
Yep.
Josh is now serving 3 consecutive life sentences, became Muslim.
Started a church. In prison.
Has
followers.
Has followers. Does a podcast.
Many
Muslim
conjugal
podcast.
visits.
He's giving legal advice to his inmates.
Yeah. And is scheduled for parole in 2026.
Oh, that's soon.
Yeah. Well, this was filmed in 2017.
Yeah,
so
fair.
No,
he did
this
10 years.
happened in
96.
Yeah.
He did
Okay,
20 years.
All right. He did his 30 years.
Yeah.
Zach.
Yeah. Zach served 5 years for accessory to whatever
ongoing murder.
I think I forget the charge, but it's like tampering with a dead body or something.
Yeah.
And
I think you get less than that.
Yeah. Then he became a high school teacher at the high school.
Never left the town. Is now disabled because he got stabbed in the leg.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
lives with mom forever.
Yeah. Well, at least she would love him. We know that.
And has a questionable relationship with his mother.
His mom's
Allison.
Allison has now started a very popular YouTube channel in which she talks about past traumas with people. And
that everything happens for a reason.
And
she would be.
And is now dating Justin Bieber.
And is also sober.
Actually, she's running a cult now. She's running. It's like an above ground cult is what's happening.
What was the Rudy the neighbor?
Yeah.
Randy.
Oh,
Randy.
Randy was killed by a drunk driver 2 days later.
No. She also has a very successful OnlyFans.
Oh, for sure.
Josh's poor mother is still in the mental hospital.
Oh, yeah.
She never thought her son could turn out that way.
Charlie. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Charlie
Runs a Fortune 500 company.
He's the head of the Gambino crime family.
He's now,
right?
the head of the Gambino
Charlie's
crime
now
family.
the head of Doge.
No.
Runs a successful hedge fund.
I know that family.
It's a crypto scammer.
Was never questioned about the murder again.
It was never even related to it at all,
No.
actually.
He got away fucking clean as fuck.
But
Didn't
is actually
squeal once.
married to his hot sister
Yeah.
that we never saw.
We should do this for all movies.
Final thoughts.
Final
what you
thoughts.
got?
I liked the movie. I didn't think it was a great movie, but I enjoyed watching it. Sometimes movies like this, especially with the beginning like this, it's when a movie makes me uncomfortable. Usually it means something, right? The beginning, it was an uncomfortable opening, and there's a lot of tension, and it was filmed really well. I thought the acting was pretty good. I liked the storyline of him going down the rabbit hole, and then I'm always proud of myself when I can hit a theory that that other people hit too. So it made the watch
Killing it.
more enjoyable. Again, one of my favorite shots was that last one of Josh leaning back. There were a couple other really good ones where he gets hit in the head with the sword and the blood comes down. There was one of Josh when he's cutting the milk cartons, and it was like super close up but slow motion, and you could see like the water drops and shit. I really like that. There were a bunch of cool shots of him riding his bike that I thought were really cool. And then obviously, I don't know, the best shot in the whole movie is Zach banging Allison in the cave and
With
the
the
fucking
lips?
Well, no, the sword.
The
hanging
sword,
on.
yeah.
And then what's his name? Like above him,
Yeah.
Josh
above him.
in the shadows.
Yeah. I thought that was apparently that shot. I looked it up is like from a old Greek painting. I forget the name of it, but I liked it.
The Fall of Odysseus. No.
It's literally something
Something
like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I give it a thumbs up. I don't know if I'd watch it again, but I enjoyed watching it this time.
Sweet. Right on. What you got, Jim? Final thoughts.
Well, I'm going to give it a thumbs down. Especially, talking to after this hour and a half, I definitely got a lot more out of the movie than just initially. But if we wouldn't have had this conversation, it would have been either way. I didn't get the level that especially you two really got into the whole high school 90s, all of it. Like, I think
I just like a good murder thriller.
hit a lot, I mean, I was thinking, because, it's my pick next. And so I was thinking, okay, what am I going to, I was watching it to be like, what, just for ideas of like something, and the movie of my generation that is this movie. And of course it was a big movie at the time, was Razor's Edge. Keanu Reeves it was like one of his first movies. And it's like, same type of thing where group of kids, but it was based on a true story and it was actually all real and it was realistic.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, did I say Razor's Edge?
Yeah.
I meant River's Edge.
Yeah, Rivers.
Yeah.
But anyway, so,
Wasn't very effective for you.
it just didn't hit the same way, but I do have to, it's definitely not a bad movie. It's just,
You're like neutral.
well, it's just kind of hard. We've had this conversation where we've done this almost 50 times now, and it's like, what is a thumbs up and what is a thumbs down?
What is the
Yeah, well, and to me, and it's like what I recommend it, but it's like you need to know who you're recommending it to. Like Dylan, I would recommend you see anything. I mean, like he's gonna fucking love it, folks.
Yeah.
The Mickey 17, like literally everybody I've seen, 3 people I know have seen it. And all the reviews, I've just said, "Oh my god, couldn't get through this movie. It's terrible."
Oh, it's compelling. Front to back.
Yeah, and then I get here, and he's like, "Oh my god, it was so awesome." I was gonna go with that.
I like that childlike wonder that Dylan has.
No,
though.
it's
I
a
love
beautiful
that. I
thing.
really do.
No, and it's because it's genuine.
It's a good balance to the pod.
Yeah, definitely.
Agreed.
Because I'm darker, or I don't say darker, but
What are our roles?
I'm a lot
We're
more
in the middle.
negative.
We're the sarcasm.
Yeah.
No, Chris, if you don't like something, you can get as bad as me.
Sure.
Because you have that disdain, you know? And it's so funny because like you used to say to me all the time that I was like a movie snob, you know, and I have to flip it around on you when it comes to music, like, you know,
Oh,
sure.
huge.
man, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, you're
you
right.
know, and
Big music snob.
Poo poos
Yeah.
all over the place.
yeah,
That's for sure.
And I
don't
just
care.
challenge him with everything I play in
Anyway,
his house too.
I know you do. I have like PTSD from when my mom was doing meth, and I'd come over from school and she'd be meth cleaning the house.
Listening to Sad
And I-
Country.
Anything.
Garth Brooks.
And and I'll come home from work and Dylan will be like doing stuff, playing music, and I'm like
Twitching.
twitching. My eye will start fucking being weird.
Well,
Anyway.
I definitely appreciate you on that, Jim. I didn't know it was a thumbs down, but it sounds like you
Yeah.
gave it a fair shake. And you
Yeah,
know, I
definitely.
think it's,
I always try to give it a
it's
fair.
a good, honest.
I was
review.
gonna to flip it over to you, Casey.
Well, I do think that it was really relatable for me because it's just the time era. Just you were saying that River's Edge was that for you. The first time I smoked weed was like in a friend's house, you know, and it was interesting to see the banter between the kids. And we didn't really touch on either of these, but all the lighting was really practical, and all the effects were really practical. The only thing they used a little bit of CG stuff on was the deer. And I think that the score and the soundtrack really fit everything. I don't think that it was too over the top or too understated. I think it was actually really well done. And it was a little slow, a little painful, and it was confusing. But it's funny because now it makes me want to go back and rewatch it. So, yeah, I think that coming into the pod, I was definitely a thumbs down. But now talking about it, and seeing the cool alternate theory too, I'm like, ooh, I love movies with like more layers. I thought it was just a little more basic than that. So I do now have to give it a thumbs up because of the layers that you guys brought into the
It
conversation.
happens on the pod.
It does, but that's why I love this pod.
That's why we talk
really
about
exactly.
things,
That's why I
yeah.
really enjoy it. So again, another movie that I probably never would have watched if it wasn't on the podcast.
Hell yeah.
And I do like really getting exposed to these movies that aren't my general genre. That I would normally go to. So it was really interesting. Thanks, Dylan.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Well, I appreciate everything you guys had to say. This has been a nice conversation. I loved a lot of the things about this movie. I think the cinematography, the shots were fucking incredible. The acting performances, the performances really kind of, set it off for me. Just how, I don't know, relatable and effective each one of these characters was, and they weren't, very much caricatures like you see in films portraying kids in high school. And I think the story itself and the pacing worked for me. I can see the slowness and I can see how it drags in moments, but I think that I was, fully invested with each one of these characters and what they were going through. So like, I think just the performances and how they were able, to utilize their strengths in every scene just kind of kept me wanting more, and it was shot so well, and it was, it's kind of a, mysterious type of movie too, and it was ambiguous and open-ended, and I appreciate all those things. And yeah, I think the soundtrack and the score were very effective for me. I kind of like that dreamy, score, the dreamy sort of, like, I think it kind of went from like a hopeful sounding score, right? And then the incident happens and then it gets darker and it's just kind of like this, ambient, like weird kind of indie seeming score. It's a very modern score. And I noticed it a lot, and I really appreciated that too. But yeah, ultimately, this is a big thumbs up for me. I'm really glad I got to watch it again, and I'm glad I chose it.
Usually, when there's like a split, we don't agree. So it's I think it's like not odd, but I think it's interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
Nice.
Change of pace.
Yeah, where me and you agree on something, and
We found
and
our
not
common
with Jim.
thread.
Right.
We found our common thread there.
I think the last time that happened was Angels in the Outfield.
Oh yeah.
I think he talks.
there hasn't been.
No. He talks. You talked Dylan into Southland Tales giving it a thumbs up.
Hey,
it was such a
it was an
pity
earned
thumbs up.
Right?
No, literally, because Dylan was like, I listening to that
Episode.
you came into that episode like, oh my god, this is the worst movie I've ever seen, and then at the end,
Hey, I just had that. I was like, hey, I think that I like this movie now. But again, the movie that we just did today was actually like, it's another one of those movies that you guys have done on the pod before, but like that if it was set in modern times, it'd be completely different because like the
Right.
lack of internet, the lack
Cell
of technology,
phones.
everything was.
Cell phones is such a big
Yeah, they would have
Really?
found that kid
Yeah.
immediately.
yeah.
So-
Satellites, yeah.
Yeah, that lends a lot to the storytelling, I think,
Does.
too, man. It's setting
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
setting stuff before cell phones makes a big difference, man.
Especially
And,
when it comes to murder.
Yeah, you can't get away with shit now.
it's a
Except
fucking
it's
bummer.
really easy to be a pedophile.
Did you see that one with like what the Murdoch ones where it was like they were literally tracking everything that his phone was doing and like when he moved it and when he flipped it and when he did a thing, it's like what is happening?
Well,
with
it's
this
Kind of like,
technology?
They thought they were above the law. Fuck those guys.
Oh, of course they did.
I am the law.
They like ran that whole town. Yeah,
They
it was,
did.
oh.
For generations, yeah, but it was only like 100 years ago
I
that
know.
they started using fingerprints, and it took like, now people know, I got to, eventually people are going to figure out, don't Google how to kill my wife.
Yeah,
How
just
do
don't
I
have a cell phone
bury
if you're a
a
murderer.
body? How do I
What
get
is it?
rid of a body?
Yeah. If you are driving, it's past the toll booth, there's going to be a timestamp of you there
Well,
with
like-
like a sheet hanging out your trunk,
Don't drive around in a car of somebody you murdered.
So
Yeah.
what was alluded to earlier is it's Jim's turn next week, man. What do we got?
Yay.
What's your tie-in? What's
Well,
the choice?
Obviously, it's killing of a sacred deer. No, just kidding.
Oh, I was so excited.
No, so I was going to do... First, I was thinking... One of the first... River's Edge popped in my head. Then I was thinking, okay, now high school. Could do Heathers,
Have you seen Heathers?
Yeah.
Have you seen Heathers?
It's, I didn't want to go that way because I think that was the tie-in with this one. SLC Punk was kind of a...
Place and a time.
Is that
was
what
it?
you...
Did you talk about that? What was the tie-in was with SLC Punk?
Best friends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Best friends. Okay.
He's my best.
So
friend.
I instead
And coming
my
of age
It's a stretch,
story.
but all right.
And a coming of age story.
I get it,
was
I get
both.
it, yeah.
It actually was both. It was like a
Hey, rein it in.
whoa.
no. So the tie-in is going to be things going wrong
Ooh.
when things go off the rails.
I like it.
And then, the movie that popped in my head, it was like, man, this is. I know none of you've seen it. It's way. It's Lars Van Trier, Dancer in the Dark. It's so long.
With
and-
Bjork?
Yeah, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it's just a gut wrenching. Like you're.
Sweet.
No, I'm not going to do it.
Oh, god damn. He's got like
He
six
said he
movies
was.
said.
He already said he was. And
No,
you know,
no.
just waiting for the-
Again, I'm pulling the. You guys always pull. Whatever.
Always. I did it one time.
No,
He
you've
changed
done
6
it.
movies in 35 seconds.
Jim, is it Airheads? Are you doing Airheads?
Yeah. No, so I'm going to go a little more. I kind of want to do a movie that I've only seen once in the theater. It was a long time ago. I want to go back to it. Can't remember. I didn't really have all the information about it. You can look it up. But it's Animal Kingdom. It's an Australian movie. Jackie Weaver from Voices is in it. But it's one of those I didn't think you guys had seen. So
The 2010
Chris.
movie?
Even Chris, yes, it's been 15 years. They're looking it up, folks. It's on.
Available for rent everywhere.
Oh, great. Can I get it at the gas station?
Probably.
If you go to a red box, I'm
Said it's called Animal Kingdom.
yeah, 2010, hour and 53
what's the
runtime.
tie-in? When things go wrong?
Yeah, when things go horribly
like it.
wrong.
Directed by David Michaud.
Pretty sure he wrote it.
movie.
Too.
Sweet.
That's one of my favorite actors in it.
Oh, Joel Edgerton.
Who?
Yeah,
Who's one of your
bunch
favorite
of
actors?
people.
And Ben Mendelsohn?
Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn.
I like all these guys. Oh, I never even heard of this one.
So, next week,
Animal Kingdom.
watch Animal Kingdom and tune in.
To Real Sick Podcast, I'm Chris.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Casey Jade.
I'm Jim.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.